Hey everyone, and welcome back to STOIC VIVU, your home for making ancient wisdom work in your modern, often chaotic, life. Ever feel like you're living with a constant demand to broadcast everything? Like every thought, minor win, or fleeting frustration with a delayed subway in New York is supposed to be instantly shared. We scroll through feeds of curated perfection, from startup journeys in Austin to rants about a rude barista in downtown Seattle. It's a relentless pressure. LinkedIn boasts, Instagram stories documenting every meal. It feels like sharing everything is the unquestioned norm. We're nudged by algorithms, by FOMO, by a culture equating visibility with value to put it all out there. Be authentic, they say, a sentiment somehow twisted into perform your authenticity 24/7. But what if the truly resilient people, those navigating the stress of big city life, be it Chicago's demanding careers or LA's creative hustle, derive strength not from what they broadcast, but from what they consciously keep private? What if their calm isn't accidental, but cultivated away from the public eye? The ancient Stoics, masters of inner resilience in their own turbulent times, knew the profound power of discretion. They understood that guarding certain aspects of your life is a deep source of personal power, a shield against needless drama, a filter for external negativity, and a quiet secret to genuine inner peace. This isn't about deceit or unhealthy bottling, it's about strategic silence and intentional sharing. It's recognizing your inner world, thoughts, nascent plans, vulnerabilities, deepest desires as a precious resource. And like any precious resource, it doesn't need to be entirely up for public consumption or judgment. Consider this: our careers, relationships, and well-being often hinge on what we share, when, and with whom. Carefully guarded personal insights, or secrets, as we'll discuss, wield incredible power. They can be your shield, protecting focus and energy, allowing ideas to mature. Or, carelessly revealed, they become unintended swords turned against you by misunderstanding or the noise of too many opinions. So, if you're fatigued by the pressure to overshare, seeking unshakable inner strength and a way to navigate your demanding urban life with more calm and clarity, you're in the right place. Today, we're diving into 10 Stoic secrets smart people never share, or share very selectively. These aren't abstract musings, they are potent, practical strategies to live calmer in a loud city. They are tools to preserve your dignity, foster genuine growth, and achieve what you seek without the draining need for constant external validation. Each secret is a crucial piece of a larger puzzle, all interconnected. So, stick around to see how they weave into a powerful framework for modern Stoic living. Ready to reclaim some peace and power? Let's get into it. 1. Your silent struggles. Why Stoics keep their toughest battles private. Imagine Sarah, a marketing manager in a bustling downtown San Francisco tech firm. On the outside, she's all smiles during Zoom calls, delivering crisp presentations and hitting her targets. Her social media paints a picture of hikes with friends and successful project launches. But behind the composed exterior, Sarah is fighting a silent battle. She's grappling with intense imposter syndrome, constantly second-guessing her decisions, and privately dealing with the immense pressure of a potential company restructuring that could put her entire team at risk. She lies awake at night, the city lights seeping through her blinds, replaying conversations and worrying about the future. Her colleagues see the capable professional, they don't see the late nights fueled by anxiety or the knot in her stomach before big meetings. This is the reality for so many of us navigating modern urban life. Behind every composed face you pass on a crowded Manhattan sidewalk or share an elevator within a Chicago high-rise, there's a universe of stories, some sung aloud in casual conversation, but most kept hushed, locked away. These silent narratives, woven from personal challenges, anxieties about career stability, quiet heartbreaks, or the daily grind of just trying to keep up, often hold immense power. They mold us, shape our perspectives on what truly matters, and push us to discover limits we never knew we had. Just as the toughest steel, the kind that forms the skyscrapers defining our city skylines, is forged in the hottest fire, so too are our characters often strengthened through these unseen, internal battles. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus, a former slave who rose to become a revered teacher, subtly reminds us of an essential truth: it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Nestled within these profound words is the echo of countless private moments when we've battled with our own thoughts, weighed down by burdens the world, and often even our closest acquaintances, know nothing about. It's the silent decision to get out of bed when depression feels like a lead blanket, the quiet commitment to keep applying for jobs after a series of rejections in a competitive LA market, or the internal struggle to forgive someone who deeply wronged you without ever making a public spectacle of your pain. Now, does this Stoic wisdom mean we should bottle everything up, build impenetrable walls around ourselves, and never seek support? Absolutely not. That's a misinterpretation that leads to isolation, not resilience. The key, however, lies in discerning who to confide in and when. It's about being incredibly selective. Think of your deepest struggles as precious, vulnerable things. You wouldn't just hand them over to any passerby on the street, would you? Everyone you tell your story to may hear the words, but not all will truly listen with empathy, and even fewer will genuinely understand or offer constructive, non-judgmental support. Choosing to reveal these silent battles is your prerogative, a significant act of trust, and one should tread carefully, sharing only with those rare individuals who have truly earned the privilege of your confidence, perhaps a therapist, a deeply trusted mentor, or a friend who has proven their loyalty and wisdom time and time again. In today's hyper-connected world, there's an ever-present, almost compulsive urge to live our lives out in the open. Social media platforms, by their very design, encourage constant updates, transforming personal struggles into potential content. It often feels like everyone around you is sharing every single detail of their lives, from their morning coffee to their deepest anxieties. But there's immense, often underestimated, strength in selective sharing. Let some battles remain yours and yours alone, not as a source of shame, but as a testament to your quiet resilience, a personal medal of honor that needs no external polishing or validation. These are the crucibles where your true character is forged. And while it's undeniably human nature to seek solace and understanding in others, especially when we're feeling overwhelmed by the pressures of city living or the weight of our responsibilities, remember that not every ear is tuned to the depth of your song. Sometimes the intricate music of your struggles, the complex melody of your internal wrestling, is best appreciated, processed, and ultimately resolved in the silent, sacred sanctuaries of your own heart and mind. After all, as the Stoics profoundly believed, real, lasting transformation and the cultivation of inner fortitude often thrive best not under the glare of public scrutiny, but in the quiet dignity of private reflection and deliberate, internal work. Your silent struggles are your training ground for becoming the unshakable person you aspire to be. 2. That nagging self-doubt? A Stoic's secret to quieting inner critics. Have you ever stood on the brink of a major decision? Maybe it's finally launching that side hustle you've been dreaming about in your Brooklyn apartment, asking for a promotion you know you deserve in your competitive Chicago office. Or even something as seemingly simple as speaking up with a novel idea in a team meeting, only to be violently pulled back by those insidious, hushed voices of uncertainty? You know the ones. They whisper, "Am I really good enough for this? What if I pour my heart into this and I fail spectacularly? Everyone else seems so confident. What if they see right through me?" These soft, persistent whispers are the clandestine residents of our minds, the inner critics that seem hell-bent on nudging us away from our potential, keeping us playing small within the cramped confines of our comfort zones. It's like having a heckler in the audience of your own life, always ready to point out your flaws right before you step into the spotlight. It's incredibly tempting, especially in our share-it-all culture, to shout out these insecurities, to post a vulnerable status update hoping for a flood of reassuring comments, or to confess your doubts to the nearest colleague hoping they'll magically refute them and bolster your courage. We crave that external validation, that quick fix of someone else telling us we're capable. But a Stoic, ancient or modern, understands the profound gravity and strategic advantage of keeping these whispers of self-doubt sheltered, at least until they're fully acknowledged, interrogated, and addressed internally. Why, you might ask, should you keep these common human frailties under wraps, at least initially? The wisdom for this comes ringing down through the ages, notably from Epictetus, who taught, "For it's not external events that trouble you, but your own judgments about them." This powerful insight, borrowed from the ancient corridors of Stoic thought, suggests that the real battle isn't with the potential for failure or the perceived judgment of others, it's with our internal dialogue about these things. Confronting these dialogues privately in the arena of your own mind instead of amplifying them for the world to pick apart can be a radically transformative experience. The world, especially in its current hypercritical, opinion-saturated online form, often has a perverse way of magnifying our insecurities. You share a flicker of self-doubt about your new business idea and suddenly you're met with a torrent of unsolicited advice, much of it conflicting, some of it ill-informed, and almost all of it adding to the deafening cacophony of confusion in your head. One person tells you it's brilliant, another says it'll never work, a third suggests 5 pivots before you've even built a prototype. Instead of clarity, you get more noise, and your initial self-doubt metastasizes, fed by external opinions that lack the full context of your vision or your capabilities. Instead, consider the Stoic approach. Engage with these whispers of self-doubt in the silent, focused arena of your own introspection. Imagine you're a detective and these doubts are simply clues, not definitive truths. Let your own reasoned understanding be the bomb, the objective investigator, not the fleeting opinions of countless others scrolling through their feeds. Don't just let these voices run rampant. Challenge them directly. Converse with them as if they were a separate entity. Ask them for evidence. "Okay, voice of doubt," you might say internally while stuck in traffic on the 405 in LA, you say, "I'm not good enough." What specific proof do you have? Where have I truly fallen short in a way that I couldn't learn from? What's the absolute worst-case scenario if I try, and is it really as catastrophic as you're making it out to be? More often than not, when you shine the light of rational inquiry on these shadowy doubts, they begin to shrink. They often thrive on ambiguity and our unthinking acceptance of their pronouncements. Reason with them. If the doubt says you'll fail, counter with, perhaps. But what if I succeed? And even if I stumble, what invaluable lessons will I learn that will pave the way for future success? Isn't the attempt itself a form of growth? This internal debate, this conscious wrestling with your own insecurities, is where true self-assurance is forged. It's not about puffing yourself up with baseless affirmations, it's about arriving at a more balanced, objective, and resilient perspective on your own capabilities and the nature of challenges. Nowadays, where every fleeting emotion or minor insecurity can quickly become a public spectacle, a viral tweet, or a dramatic Instagram story, there's an unmatched power in cherishing solitude and quiet reflection. Especially when it comes to taming the unruly, often irrational voices of self-doubt. They need your focused, undivided attention, your rigorous internal cross-examination, not the world's pity or its cacophony of quick-fix advice. Isn't it far wiser, as an old saying goes, to first mend the leaks in your own boat privately with care and precision rather than inviting an entire audience down to the docks to watch it slowly sink while they all shout different instructions on how to bail water? By addressing your self-doubt internally first, you're not denying its existence. You're giving yourself the space to understand its roots, to challenge its validity, and to build a robust internal counter-argument based on your actual strengths, past successes, and capacity for growth. Then, if you do choose to discuss your plans or lingering uncertainties with a trusted mentor or advisor in, say, your Philadelphia startup incubator, you do so from a position of greater self-awareness and preparedness, not from a place of raw, unexamined fear. You're seeking targeted feedback, not a rescue from your own mind. This Stoic approach empowers you to be the primary architect of your confidence, building it from the inside out, brick by rational brick. 3. Keep your big moves quiet, a Stoic tactic for real success. Have you ever felt that almost irresistible urge, that little buzz of excitement that makes you want to immediately text your group chat, post on LinkedIn, or announce at the next family dinner in your suburban Boston home about a big new idea or a significant plan you're cooking up? Maybe it's a decision to go back to school for an MBA while working full-time in New York, a detailed plan to save up and buy your first condo in a competitive Miami market, or the ambitious goal to train for and complete your first marathon. There's something deeply empowering, a quiet thrill, in holding on to these significant future plans with a certain dignity and discretion, rather than letting them become casual dinner table chatter or fodder for unsolicited opinions before they've even had a chance to take root. Your aspirations, your big dreams, your carefully crafted ambitions, these are precious blueprints of your future self. They are yours to cherish, to nurture, and to protect. By not revealing every detail of your next big move to everyone you know, you maintain a powerful element of mystery and, more importantly, an invaluable degree of unpredictability and flexibility. We live in an age where oversharing is often mistaken for authenticity, where individuals are almost expected to live-tweet their 5-year plans. Yet, there is profound strength and strategic wisdom in keeping your cards close to your chest, allowing your actions, when the time is right, to speak far louder and more convincingly than any premature announcements. Let the results do the talking. History, both ancient and modern, offers countless cautionary tales of individuals and entities who prematurely boasted about their grand plans only to watch them crumble under the weight of scrutiny, sabotage, or simply the ill-timed interference of others. Consider the story of Quibi, the short-form streaming service launched with immense fanfare and heavyweight Hollywood backing. Its plans were broadcast far and wide, expectations were set astronomically high by its founders, industry veterans Jeffrey Katzenberg and Meg Whitman. They spoke openly about revolutionizing entertainment. But this very public, confident pronouncements of their strategy, coupled with an underestimation of existing market dynamics and consumer habits, made its eventual, swift failure all the more glaring and, for its competitors, perhaps even predictable. The premature hype created a pressure cooker environment and set them up for a very public fall when the execution didn't match the grand narrative. Their Achilles heel wasn't just the product, but perhaps the overconfidence baked into their broadcasted plans. Contrast this with many highly successful tech entrepreneurs or strategic business leaders. Think of someone like a modern-day Howard Hughes, perhaps a low-profile founder of a disruptive tech company in Seattle or Austin. These types are often notorious for keeping their new ventures, their innovative product pipelines, and their strategic shifts incredibly close to their chest, sometimes even within their own organizations until the last possible moment. This isn't about being paranoid, it's about ensuring competitors are always kept guessing, one step behind. It's a masterclass in the power of unpredictability and the immense strategic advantage that discretion affords in a fiercely competitive landscape. They understand that a plan revealed too early gives others time to react, to counter, or even to steal the core idea. Today, we are more connected, more instantly communicative than at any other point in human history. Social media platforms, with their endless feeds and prompts to share what's on your mind, constantly tempt us to announce every intention, every new goal, every budding project. But Stoicism, with its emphasis on thoughtful action and inner resilience, gently reminds us that there's profound value in stepping back from this constant stream of self-revelation, in taking a more measured, internally focused approach. By keeping your significant future plans relatively secret or shared only with a very small, trusted inner circle, you not only protect your ambitions from premature criticism, negativity, or the well-meaning but ultimately unhelpful advice of those who don't fully grasp your vision. You also grant yourself the crucial freedom to adapt, to pivot, to refine your plans, or even to change your mind entirely without the added pressure of external expectations or the embarrassment of public failure. If things don't pan out exactly as you first envisioned, this agility is a superpower in our rapidly changing world. The Roman Stoic philosopher Seneca, a statesman and advisor who navigated the treacherous political currents of his time, offered wisdom that seamlessly weaves through our thoughts on this. If a person doesn't know to which port they sail, no wind is favorable. This is a compelling reminder to, first and foremost, set our own course with clarity and internal conviction. Know your port. But the wisdom also implies that you don't need to announce your exact shipping route, your estimated time of arrival, and the contents of your cargo to every other vessel in the sea. Share it only when truly necessary, and mostly keep that detailed map secure with yourself, the captain of your own ship. Holding your future plans close doesn't mean you're afraid, unsure, or lacking in confidence. On the contrary, it often signifies a powerful, mature understanding of the world's complex dynamics and the unpredictable nature of life. You're not withholding for the mere sake of being secretive or mysterious. You're preserving the sanctity and integrity of your journey. You're giving your nascent ideas the quiet, protected space they need to germinate and grow strong. This way, when the world finally witnesses your steps, they see not just hopeful intentions, but deliberate, well-executed actions. They see you as steadfast, purposeful, and often, impressively, one move ahead. The silent, strategic cultivation of your future is a hallmark of true Stoic wisdom in action. 4. Building resilience in secret. The Stoic way to ditch easy street. It might sound a bit counterintuitive in our culture that loves a good glow-up story or a public declaration of a challenge accepted. But there's an inherent, quiet wisdom in keeping our regular forays outside our comfort zones largely to ourselves. Think about it. When you decide to take on a new, difficult discipline, maybe you're Maria in Chicago, who started waking up at 5 a.m. every day to write her novel before her demanding job as a paralegal begins, or David in New York, who's secretly training for an ultramarathon, pushing his physical limits far beyond anything he's ever done. If Maria posts her pre-dawn writing setup on Instagram every morning with a hashtag hustle culture or hashtag discipline equals freedom caption, or David constantly updates his Strava followers on every grueling training run, the underlying intent can subtly shift. Suddenly, consciously or unconsciously, you might find yourself seeking validation, craving applause for being so brave, so bold, so disciplined. The focus moves from the internal act of growth to the external performance of it. But the Stoic approach to building resilience, to forging that inner steel, isn't about collecting likes or seeking external validation for your efforts. It's fundamentally about internal growth, about the quiet, often unseen cultivation of your character and capabilities. The next time you decide to wake up an hour earlier to meditate and read philosophy before the rest of your busy Boston household stirs, or you choose to take that cold shower for discipline, a practice some Stoics might call voluntary discomfort, or you opt to walk home from your downtown office in the pouring rain just to feel viscerally alive and test your own mental toughness. Maybe, just maybe, keep that one to yourself. It's not a show. It's a personal journey of self-mastery. It's your private dojo where you practice ascesis or discipline training. The great Stoic Emperor Marcus Aurelius, a man who commanded legions and ruled a vast empire, yet found time for deep introspection, whispered a poignant question through the centuries in his meditations, a question we can ask ourselves today. Is it for the sake of appearances or genuine progress? When you push yourself, when you deliberately step into discomfort, are you doing it to genuinely expand your limits, to build that inner fortitude? Or are you, even slightly, doing it for the story it will make, for the admiration it might garner from your online followers or your friends at the next happy hour in Denver? Historical records and even legends often speak of great leaders who understood this principle. While Alexander the Great's conquests were vast and very public, stories abound of him, amidst the incredible luxuries he could easily summon, choosing to sleep on the hard ground alongside his common soldiers or eat the same simple rations. He wasn't doing this for a PR campaign to show how relatable he was. There were no war correspondents detailing his austerity. He did this, it's believed, to keep himself grounded, to remind himself of the harsh realities of life his men faced daily, and to ensure he didn't become lost in the seductive, insulating haze of excessive luxury and comfort that so easily saps willpower and resilience. He was forging his own character in private, even amidst his public role, practicing a form of self-imposed hardship. We might not be leading vast armies across continents, but our personal battles for self-improvement, our challenges to overcome ingrained habits of procrastination or fear, are no less significant to our own development. In our modern, rapidly changing world, where comfort is often just a click away, instant food delivery, endless streaming entertainment, climate-controlled environments, it's easy to become soft, to shy away from anything that feels even remotely difficult or inconvenient. But remember, it's the relentless wind, the freezing rain, and the steep, rocky, uphill paths that ultimately shape mountains into majestic peaks. Similarly, it's our personal challenges, especially those we quietly, intentionally embrace without fanfare, that shape us into stronger, more capable, and more resilient human beings. There's nothing inherently wrong with enjoying comfort. Stoicism isn't about masochism or a vow of poverty. It's perfectly okay to bask in the warmth of a well-earned rest or the pleasure of life's good things. But the wisdom lies in also taking those secret, unannounced strolls into the unfamiliar, the challenging, the slightly uncomfortable, what Seneca might call rehearsing adversities. It's in these private expeditions beyond the borders of your easy street that we often find the tougher, more resourceful, and more courageous versions of ourselves, versions we might have forgotten even existed, or perhaps never knew we had the capacity to become. When you keep these personal challenges private, the reward becomes purely intrinsic. The satisfaction comes from the act itself, from knowing you did it, from feeling that quiet expansion of your own limits. This builds a robust, self-sufficient form of confidence, one that doesn't depend on the shifting sands of external praise or validation. It's a deep, unshakable knowing of your own capacity. So, the next time you decide to push your boundaries, learn that difficult new skill, confront that fear, embrace that disciplined routine, consider making it your own sacred secret. Let the results, the person you become through this progress, be the only announcement necessary. The resilience you build in private will be your unshakable foundation when the public storms of life inevitably arrive. 5. Your weak spots? Why Stoics don't advertise their vulnerabilities. It's often said, drawing from ancient myth, that every hero has an Achilles heel, that one specific vulnerable point that, despite all their formidable strength and courage, could potentially be their undoing. We humans, in our beautifully imperfect and complex nature, are a tapestry woven from both shining strengths and tender vulnerabilities. These vulnerabilities are the raw, sensitive parts of our psyche, the lingering insecurities from past experiences, the areas where we feel less confident or competent. They deserve our utmost protection, not indiscriminate exposure to the harsh floodlights of public opinion. This isn't about fostering a culture of denial or pretending these weak spots don't exist. Far from it. It's about treating them with the reverence, care, and strategic discretion they truly merit. A voice reminiscent of the Stoic philosopher Epictetus might murmur across the centuries, suggesting, "Man is affected not by events but by the view he takes of them." This profound insight can be extended to our vulnerabilities. It's not necessarily the vulnerabilities themselves that define or defeat us, but rather our perspective on them, and crucially, how we choose to manage them. Embracing your vulnerabilities, acknowledging them to yourself, is incredibly important. They often serve as markers of past wounds from which we've, hopefully, learned valuable lessons etched into our being, and sometimes, they represent the understandable fear of future battles or failures. They are deeply, intrinsically personal. Now, imagine Michael, a talented graphic designer in a competitive agency in New York City. He's brilliant with visuals, but he has a deep-seated fear of public speaking, a weak spot that makes client presentations an ordeal. If Michael were to constantly broadcast this fear to all his colleagues or post about his presentation anxiety on professional networks, what might happen? While some might offer sympathy, others could, consciously or unconsciously, start to doubt his overall capability for client-facing roles. His vulnerability, once openly advertised, could make him susceptible to external judgments that might unfairly skew his own attempts to understand or accept it, and even limit his career opportunities. It might even be exploited by a less scrupulous colleague vying for the same promotion. By privately acknowledging these points of sensitivity, these areas where we feel less armored, we give ourselves the crucial space to fortify them. We ensure they are not misunderstood by those who lack context, or worse, deliberately exploited by those with unkind intentions. This private acknowledgement is the first step. It gives us a chance to work on them constructively, to perhaps transform them from perceived weak spots into areas of dedicated growth, or at least to develop effective coping strategies around them. Michael, for instance, might quietly join a Toastmasters group in his local Queens neighborhood, practice his presentations diligently in front of a mirror or a trusted friend, or work with a coach, all without making his initial vulnerability a topic of office gossip. Throughout history, many influential figures were acutely aware of their own vulnerabilities, but chose to keep them close, using them as powerful internal motivators for growth or as information to guide their strategic decisions, rather than as public deterrents or pleas for sympathy. Abraham Lincoln, for example, is widely believed to have faced numerous personal and professional failures and battled prolonged bouts of what was then termed melancholia, likely a form of depression. instead of constantly publicizing these internal struggles in a way that might have undermined his leadership during a time of national crisis. He largely internalized them. Many historians suggest these very struggles allowed him to cultivate profound empathy, resilience, and a depth of character that shaped his extraordinary leadership. He didn't advertise his weak spots. He metabolized them into strength. Conversely, consider a modern scenario. Think of a rising political figure in Washington, D.C., or a CEO of a publicly traded company in Chicago. If they were to openly and repeatedly advertise a significant personal vulnerability, say, a tendency towards indecisiveness under pressure or a lack of certain technical knowledge crucial for their role, without a clear narrative of how they are addressing it, it could severely undermine public and investor confidence. This isn't about being inauthentic. It's about strategic communication and recognizing that in certain roles, the perception of steadfastness and competence, backed by private efforts to address any gaps, is crucial. Julius Caesar's historical vulnerability, his overtrust in certain close allies who harbored resentment, ultimately culminated in his tragic assassination. While he might not have advertised this as a weakness, his lack of discretion or misjudgment regarding who to trust with his safety proved fatal. This underscores the critical importance of not just recognizing our vulnerabilities, but also handling the information about them with extreme care. In our current era, oversharing is often mistakenly lauded as the pinnacle of authenticity or being real. The pressure to bare one's soul, to put every flaw and fear out in the open for public consumption, can feel overwhelming. Social media trends often seem to demand this kind of radical transparency. Yet, Stoicism champions a different kind of power, the power of selective silence, of dignified self-possession. Recognize your vulnerabilities, yes. Cherish them as part of your unique human experience, yes. Work on them diligently and privately, absolutely. But do not feel obligated to lay them out like a patient on an operating table for the entire world to dissect, judge, or misunderstand. It's perfectly okay, and often incredibly wise, to keep some pages of your personal book closed to the general public. After all, a little mystery has its own allure and true strength. The kind that endures often lies not in broadcasting every potential crack in the armor, but in the quiet, diligent work of reinforcing those chapters left unread by most, transforming them from sources of fear into bastions of resilience. Your weak spots, when handled with Stoic wisdom, can become the very places from which your greatest strengths emerge. 6. Stop complaining, start conquering. A Stoic's Guide to Grievances. They say that carrying grudges or constantly dwelling on personal grievances is like drinking poison yourself and expecting the other person to perish. It's a heavy, corrosive weight on your shoulders, a constant, irritating murmur in your ear, and more often than not, a completely useless and self-destructive endeavor. Think of Alex, a software developer in Austin who feels his manager, David, consistently overlooks his contributions and takes credit for his team's successes during presentations to senior leadership. Every time David speaks in a meeting, Alex feels that familiar surge of resentment. He replays past injustices in his mind, his mood sours, and his focus on his actual work diminishes. He spends his lunch breaks complaining to a colleague, dissecting David's every perceived slight. This cycle of grievance doesn't change David's behavior, it only poisons Alex's own peace of mind and productivity. The Stoic approach, however, champions a radically different path, choosing to process these personal grievances, these feelings of being wronged or unfairly treated, internally first. This conscious choice promotes inner equilibrium, profound self-mastery, and ultimately more effective action if action is indeed required. By choosing not to immediately vent every irritation, every minor annoyance, or every perceived injustice to anyone who will listen, whether it's your long-suffering partner in your shared Brooklyn apartment, your entire social media following, or the office grapevine, you cultivate an inner resilience. You learn to tackle these emotional disturbances internally, analyzing their true nature and impact without scattering your precious mental and emotional energy outward in unproductive ways. This practice is deeply reminiscent of Epictetus, who once mused with characteristic Stoic clarity, "It's not things that upset us but our judgment about things." Consider this profound statement in the context of your grievances. When you feel that sting of annoyance because a colleague in your Philadelphia office didn't CC you on an important email, or frustration because your neighbor in Miami constantly plays loud music late at night, is it the event itself that is solely causing your distress? Or is it your judgment about the event? "They're deliberately trying to undermine me, they have no respect for others," that truly fuels the fire of your grievance? When you share every annoyance or frustration publicly or even semi-publicly, you're often doing more than just letting off steam. You're frequently, even if unconsciously, perpetuating a cycle of negativity. You're reliving the unpleasant experience, inviting others to co-sign your anger, which can feel validating in the short term but solves nothing, and subtly seeking external validation for your feelings of being wronged. This can trap you in a victim mindset. By holding back, by taking a deliberate pause for introspection, you allow yourself the critical time and mental space to question the grievance itself. Is this feeling truly valid? Or am I overreacting based on past experiences or current stress levels? Is the situation actually within my control to change directly? If not, should I truly allow it to disrupt my inner state of mind, my ataraxia or tranquility? Such rigorous introspection, a core Stoic practice, often leads to a powerful realization. Many of our daily grievances are transient, fleeting, and ultimately unworthy of the significant mental and emotional energy we expend on them. They are, as the Stoics might say, indifferent things outside our complete control that don't impact our core virtue or character unless we allow them to. And for those grievances that are valid, that point to a genuine injustice or a problem that needs addressing, like Alex's situation with his manager David, tackling them head-on with a calm, rational, and strategic approach, rather than just endlessly discussing or complaining about them, can be far more satisfying, productive, and empowering. Alex, after some Stoic reflection, might decide to calmly document specific instances of David's behavior and then request a private meeting to discuss his contributions and career path, armed with facts rather than just raw emotion. Or he might choose to focus on what he can control, the excellence of his own work, and seeking allies within the company. Peering back through the corridors of time and even looking at modern conflicts, we uncover countless stories of individuals and even nations who allowed their personal or collective grievances to consume them, ultimately leading to their own detriment. Consider the infamous, tragic story of Aaron Burr and Alexander Hamilton, two brilliant figures in early American history. Their deep-seated mutual animosity, fueled by years of public attacks and personal grievances aired in letters and newspapers, culminated in a deadly duel. Both men paid an immense price, Hamilton with his life, and Burr with a forever tarnished reputation and, reportedly, his own later melancholic reflections on the destructive path his grievances had led him down. Their story serves as a stark, historical reminder of the dire consequences of letting unchecked personal grievances dictate one's actions and poison one's judgment. Today's fast-paced, often confrontational society frequently pushes us to vent as a primary form of therapy or release. We see it everywhere, from fiery social media comment sections to reality TV show confrontations. But Stoicism advises a more measured, internal-first approach. It's about addressing grievances at their root, understanding their true impact on us, not just what the other person did, and then acting with wisdom, courage, and justice rather than from a place of impulsiveness, anger, or a desire for revenge. So, the next time you feel that familiar, hot sting of annoyance, that urge to immediately decry an injustice or share your frustration about someone's incompetence or inconsideration, try the Stoic pause. Reflect. Ask yourself, will voicing this grievance right now in this way actually change the situation for the better? Or will it merely serve to stir the pot, escalate negativity, and disturb my own inner peace? Because sometimes strategic silence followed by calm, reasoned action if necessary is the most powerful response. And the peace that comes from mastering your reactions to grievances? That is the ultimate unconquerable victory. Stop complaining, start conquering, starting with yourself. 7. Your wins, your rules. Why Stoics don't brag about success. There's a quiet, profound satisfaction that settles in when you achieve something you've worked hard for, whether it's a big, life-altering success like finally landing that dream job as a curator in a prestigious Boston museum after years of effort, or a smaller, personal victory like consistently sticking to your new budget for 3 months straight in expensive San Francisco, or even mastering a complex new software for your freelance business based in your Denver home office. This internal hum of accomplishment is a wonderful, validating feeling. Yet, the relentless rush and performative nature of the modern world, especially amplified by social media, often compels us, almost instinctively, to broadcast these moments far and wide, seeking that immediate hit of external applause and recognition. Likes, congratulatory comments, emojis, they can feel like a warm bath of validation. The Stoic path, however, gently but firmly urges us to embrace and cherish our accomplishments primarily internally rather than immediately seeking the spotlight of external validation. Why this emphasis on inward appreciation? Because validation that comes from within, from your own clear-eyed assessment of your effort and growth, is sustainable. It's genuine, it's robust, and it's not dependent on the fickle opinions or fleeting attention of others. Broadcasting every achievement, especially with an air of boastfulness or an insatiable need for praise, can sometimes dilute the personal significance of these milestones. It can subtly shift the focus from the intrinsic value of the accomplishment and the character you built achieving it to the extrinsic reward of public acclaim, turning profound personal moments into mere conversation topics or, worse, fuel for envy or comparison. This isn't to say you should diminish the joy of your successes or never share good news with loved ones, your close friends, your family, your supportive partner in your shared Chicago apartment. Sharing genuine joy with people who genuinely care about you is a beautiful and healthy part of human connection. The Stoic counsel here is more about discernment and motive. It's a call to be highly selective about who you share with and why you're sharing. It's about understanding the crucial difference between authentically sharing your joy with a few trusted intimates versus performatively seeking widespread validation or admiration from a broad, often anonymous audience. When we learn to internalize and deeply appreciate our own growth, our own efforts, and our own achievements, we cultivate a powerful sense of self-reliance. We become our own primary source of approval. This internal self-reliance acts like an unshakable shield, protecting us from the unpredictable and often overwhelming ebb and flow of external praise and criticism. If your self-worth is tied to how many likes your promotion post gets, you're on a roller coaster you don't control. But if your satisfaction comes from knowing you earned that promotion through diligence and skill, that's a stable foundation. History, and even myth, offers many cautionary tales of those who shouted their successes from the proverbial rooftops only to face unforeseen and often negative consequences. Take the ancient Greek legend of Icarus. Though not a literal historical figure, his tale is deeply grounded in timeless aspects of human nature that span across ages. Elated by the incredible thrill of flight, empowered by the ingenious wings his father Daedalus crafted, Icarus soared higher and higher, intoxicated by his newfound ability and a burgeoning sense of pride. He defied his father's cautions, driven by hubris and perhaps a desire for the ultimate recognition, to touch the sun. As we all know, his waxen wings melted under the sun's intense heat, and he plummeted tragically into the sea. His downfall wasn't caused by the flight itself, but by his excessive pride, his need to push boundaries not for strategic purpose but for the sake of egotistical recognition, which led him to ignore wise counsel. Embracing your success with humility and quiet satisfaction doesn't downplay its significance. In a Stoic sense, it actually reinforces it. It shows that your actions are driven by internal values and a commitment to excellence, not by a hunger for external applause. The modern era, with its constant connectivity and curated online personas, poses unique challenges to this kind of quiet confidence. The temptation to immediately post that certificate, that award, that sales record is immense, but it also offers opportunities for conscious choices. The next time you achieve something significant, whether it's closing a major deal for your Miami real estate firm or finally finishing that challenging book on philosophy, take a deliberate moment. Pause. Feel the accomplishment fully within yourself. Savor that internal recognition. Cherish it. Then decide thoughtfully if and with whom you want to share this news and for what genuine purpose. Is it to inspire a mentee? To share joy with a parent? Or is it to subtly, or not so subtly, broadcast your superiority? A true Stoic understands that the work itself, the virtue expressed in the effort, is its own primary reward. External recognition is, at best, a preferred indifferent, nice if it comes, but not essential to one's sense of worth or the value of the achievement. By not constantly bragging or seeking the limelight for every win, you also avoid unnecessarily inviting envy, distracting yourself from your next important task, or setting yourself up for disappointment if the external validation doesn't meet your expectations. Your wins are your rules, governed by your internal scorecard, not the applause meter of the world. This quiet, self-assured way of handling success is a hallmark of deep character and enduring strength. 8. Guard your inner spark. A Stoic's secret to protecting your dreams. Have you ever stumbled upon a tiny, seemingly insignificant idea or desire that, quite unexpectedly, made your heart skip a beat or brought a quiet, almost shy smile to your face? Perhaps it was a long-forgotten dream you tucked away in the attic of your mind. The secret yearning to learn how to paint watercolors like the artists you see in Central Park. The simple, persistent desire to finally learn to play the guitar that's been gathering dust in the corner of your Austin apartment. Or maybe even a whimsical notion to take a spontaneous weekend trip to a quiet cabin just to dance under the rain. These small, intensely personal yearnings, these quiet whispers of the soul, often remain just that, whispers, easily drowned out in the overwhelming cacophony of our demanding daily lives, our career ambitions in bustling cities like Seattle, and the endless scroll of other people's louder pronouncements. It's a perfectly natural human instinct to want to share these fledgling moments of inspiration, these tiny, budding ambitions with others. A little voice inside us often tells us, share it, and it becomes more real. Speak it into existence. But does it always? More often than not, voicing these delicate, nascent dreams prematurely before they've had a chance to solidify and gather their own internal strength, might inadvertently lead to them getting trampled upon, often by the well-meaning but unasked for opinions, doubts, or even gentle ridicule of others. Not everyone in your Chicago co-working space will understand why, after a long day coding, you suddenly want to learn ancient Greek. Not all your friends in your LA social circle will grasp why you've suddenly taken up birdwatching in Griffith Park with an almost religious fervor. And that's perfectly, entirely all right. Their understanding isn't a prerequisite for your passion. As a silent Stoic philosopher might have wisely observed, threading their timeless wisdom through the centuries, something to the effect of, "Dreams whispered first to the heart are for the nourishment of the soul, not immediate fodder for the crowd." The essence here is about incubation. Some dreams are like tiny seeds. They need the right conditions, darkness, quiet, protection, to germinate. Exposing them too early to harsh sunlight or rough winds can be fatal. Looking back into history, consider the revered philosopher Socrates. He himself never penned down his profound thoughts or his philosophical system. Most of what we know of his groundbreaking ideas, his method of questioning, comes to us through the extensive writings of his most famous student, Plato. But there's something incredibly intriguing here. The very absence of Socrates' own direct writings lends an enduring air of mystery, a certain sacredness, around his true, innermost beliefs, his most personal desires, his unvoiced what-ifs. What little quiet sparks of desire did he harbor beyond his public dialogues? What private intellectual itches did he scratch in solitude? We may never fully know, and perhaps that's part of the enduring beauty and power of his legacy. It's a potent reminder that not everything needs to be laid bare for public dissection. Some treasures, some inner sparks, are best kept close to the chest, guarded like a precious flame against a strong wind. Think of Sarah, a young architect in Philadelphia, who secretly dreams of one day designing sustainable, affordable housing for underserved communities. It's a huge, daunting ambition, far removed from the luxury condos her firm currently focuses on. If she announces this fragile dream too early to her cynical senior partners, or even to well-meaning but conventional-minded friends who might say, "That's noble, Sarah, but is there any money in that? How will you ever make a living?" Their pragmatic, perhaps even dismissive, responses could easily extinguish her tentative inner spark before it has a chance to catch fire and grow into a viable plan. Instead, she might choose to quietly research, sketch initial ideas in her private notebooks, volunteer on weekends with Habitat for Humanity, and slowly build her knowledge and confidence, nurturing that dream in the sheltered garden of her own resolve. Take a moment today, in a world where seemingly every thought, meal, and minor aspiration is put on public display, to consciously save those precious dreams you haven't yet shared widely. Let them marinate. Let them grow in the fertile silences of your own heart and mind. Allow yourself to explore them without the pressure of external expectations or the fear of premature judgment. And then, when they're strong enough, when they've developed resilient roots and a clear form, when you feel they are ready to face the world, to face both potential applause and inevitable criticism with equanimity, then, and only then, consider letting them out into the wider world. Until that moment arrives, guard them fiercely but lovingly. They are your secret wellspring of strength, your quiet, personal song of hope and possibility. They represent the magic that is waiting to happen, not on anyone else's timeline or terms, but entirely on yours, unfolding at your own pace, guided by your own inner wisdom. Protecting these quiet desires isn't about being antisocial or fearful. It's about being a wise and patient cultivator of your own unique potential. It's a Stoic act of profound self-care and strategic foresight. 9. Your growth is yours. Why Stoics keep their progress under wraps. When a caterpillar painstakingly spins its cocoon, an almost magical, profound transformation begins to occur deep within that silken shell, entirely invisible to the curious external world. It's a period of intense, internal restructuring, a complete metamorphosis from one state of being to another. Just imagine for a moment if that caterpillar felt an overwhelming, modern human-like need to broadcast every tiny, incremental advancement from inside its chrysalis. Day 3. Left antenna successfully dissolved. #Transformation Tuesday or Day 10. Wing buds forming nicely, feeling optimistic. Send good vibes. It wouldn't just be incredibly distracting for the caterpillar, it might even fundamentally hinder or corrupt the delicate, natural process of its becoming. Much like this wonder of the natural world, there's an undeniable sanctity, a deep, intrinsic power in keeping the specific, granular details of our personal growth journey largely to ourselves. Every single stride you take towards bettering yourself as a human being, whether it's finally learning to manage your infamous temper during stressful project deadlines in your busy New York ad agency, diligently practicing mindfulness to reduce anxiety while navigating the crowded streets of Boston, or making quiet, consistent efforts to become a more patient and understanding partner in your relationship in your San Diego home. Every newfound understanding, every hard-won self-realization is an invaluable treasure. But here's the crucial Stoic kicker: not all treasures are meant for immediate, public display. Some are meant to be deeply felt, to resonate within the quiet chambers of your own being, to become integrated into the very fabric of who you are before they are, if ever, explicitly shared. Now, this isn't to advocate for absolute, hermit-like silence about our entire human experience. Sharing our stories, our lessons learned, can indeed be therapeutic for us and even profoundly motivational or instructive for others, especially within trusted circles or when the lessons are fully baked. However, the Stoics, those ancient masters of practical wisdom, consistently emphasized the superior significance of quiet, internal reflection over loud, public proclamation, especially concerning the ongoing, often messy, process of personal development, or what they called procope, progress towards wisdom. The Roman philosopher and statesman Seneca, a man who navigated immense personal and political turmoil, wisely conveyed in his letters, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." Notice the emphasis here. He didn't say, "As long as you live, keep telling everyone in meticulous detail how you are learning to live, and be sure to post daily updates on your progress." The learning, the living, the internal calibration, that's the core work. We currently live in a time where documenting almost every facet of life, including the intimate journey of self-improvement, has almost become second nature and ingrained habit. The instantaneous rush to tweet a sudden epiphany experience during a therapy session, to share a personal milestone on Instagram complete with a perfectly filtered selfie and an inspirational quote, or to vlog about the day-to-day inner struggles and small victories of, say, overcoming a fear of networking for your Chicago-based startup, can sometimes overshadow the true essence of the experience itself. The performance of growth can subtly replace the actual, often unglamorous, work of growth. Before you hit share on that post about your newfound morning routine or your breakthrough in managing procrastination, pause and ask yourself a critical Stoic question: is this impulse for genuine connection and authentic sharing of a completed insight? Or is it, perhaps even unconsciously, a bid for external validation, a craving for applause for your efforts? The difference, as Marcus Aurelius might suggest, matters profoundly. Drawing once more from the Stoics and perhaps reflecting upon the spirit of Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, a private journal never intended for publication, there's a grounding, liberating realization: the universe is transformation. Life is opinion. Your personal transformation, your growth, is a deeply intimate, ongoing journey. Opinions about your journey, especially when it's still in progress, will be many, varied, often unsolicited, and frequently unhelpful. They can distract you, make you second-guess your path, or even inflate your ego prematurely. As you navigate the vast, often turbulent waters of personal growth, maybe you're Miguel in Miami, finally committing to a healthier lifestyle, or Jessica in Seattle, working diligently to improve her leadership skills. Sometimes it's far more powerful and effective to row your boat silently with focused determination than to constantly announce every turn of the oar or every change in the wind. Let the progress accumulate. Let the changes solidify within you. Let your actions and your transformed character become the evidence. Ultimately, the final destination, your more evolved, more resilient, more virtuous self, will speak far louder, more eloquently, and more convincingly than any interim progress report or social media update ever could. When your colleagues notice your newfound calm under pressure, when your friends see a sustained positive change in your demeanor, when you feel that deep internal shift, that's the real testament. Keeping your personal progress largely under wraps isn't about hiding, it's about protecting the sacred space needed for genuine, lasting change to take root and flourish, free from the often distorting pressures of the external gaze. Your growth is yours, own it, nurture it, and let it unfold with quiet dignity. 10. Feel, don't reveal, everything: a Stoic guide to emotional privacy. Life's vast and intricate canvas is painted with the broad, vibrant strokes of happiness, the somber hues of sorrow, the fiery reds of anger, the warm glows of love, and countless other nuanced emotions that make up the rich tapestry of human experience. We feel a surge of elation when our favorite New York sports team wins a crucial game, a pang of disappointment when a long-planned Chicago weekend getaway gets rained out, a wave of frustration when stuck in bumper-to-bumper LA traffic, or a quiet sense of peace watching the sunset over the Charles River in Boston. While it's become increasingly common, almost expected, in our hyper-expressive modern era to publicly wear our emotions on our virtual sleeves, especially with the immediacy of real-time status updates, Instagram stories documenting every sigh and smile, and tearful TikTok confessions, there lies a profound, often overlooked, silent power in holding some of these feelings a little closer, in practicing a degree of emotional privacy. The Stoic act of restraint, of choosing not to immediately broadcast every emotional ripple, is crucially not about suppression. It's not about denying your feelings or striving for an unfeeling, robotic state, which is a common misinterpretation of Stoicism. True Stoic emotional regulation is far more nuanced. Rather, it's about deeply understanding that our feelings are intensely personal experiences, often incredibly complex and multifaceted, with layers that take time and quiet reflection to unfurl. Sharing them in real time, in their raw, unprocessed state, might not always capture their true essence or their underlying causes. And, quite frankly, the external world, particularly the often harsh and judgmental arena of social media, isn't always a gentle or constructive place for our most raw, vulnerable emotions. A hastily shared outburst of anger can damage relationships. A public display of grief might attract unwanted pity or superficial responses that offer little real comfort. As a Stoic might subtly remind us, perhaps echoing the sentiment behind much of their philosophy, emotions, when softly held and observed with a degree of detachment, unfold in their own natural rhythm. This internal observation allows them to reveal their deeper layers, their triggers, and their transient nature, insights we often miss when we reactively or impulsively project them outward. Think about the renowned Stoic emperor Marcus Aurelius. He was arguably one of the most powerful men in the world, leading the Roman Empire through wars, plagues, and immense personal loss, including the deaths of several children. Yet, his most profound personal reflections, filled with deep emotion, grappling with fear, frustration, and sorrow, were captured not in imperial decrees or public orations but in his private, handwritten notes to himself. The journal we now know as Meditations. These were not grand public proclamations designed to elicit sympathy or admiration from the Roman populace. They were intimate, searching musings meant for his own self-examination, his own ethical development, his own emotional processing. His clear hesitance to publicly display every moment of his internal emotional landscape, his choice to wrestle with his feelings in private before, presumably acting with public composure and reason, gives us a powerful mirror to our own lives. How often do we truly pause, step back from the immediacy of a strong feeling, and genuinely sit with our emotions, allowing ourselves to understand their roots and their messages? Before projecting them outward onto our colleagues in a tense San Francisco office meeting, or onto our family during a stressful holiday gathering in our suburban Dallas home. Today's world often praises the quick to react, the person who tells it like it is in the heat of the moment, the individual who is authentically expressive of every passing feeling. But the Stoics, and indeed much of ancient wisdom, remind us that there's profound wisdom in allowing our emotions to settle first, like sediment in water, so that we can see more clearly. This settling allows us to truly understand them, to distinguish between a fleeting irritation and a deep-seated injustice, between a momentary sadness and a more serious melancholy, between rational fear and irrational anxiety, before we choose how, when, and with whom to share them, if at all. Not every emotional surge warrants an immediate post, a dramatic story, or even a lengthy text message to your entire contact list. Some feelings, when preserved and reflected upon in the quiet sanctuary of our own minds, mature into deeper understandings. Anger, when examined, might reveal an underlying fear or a boundary that needs to be calmly asserted. Sadness, when honored, might point to something we truly value. Joy, when savored privately first, can become a deeper wellspring of gratitude. Sometimes these privately processed emotions transform into something else entirely, a creative impulse, a renewed sense of purpose, or a quiet resolve. So, the next time a powerful emotion, joy, anger, grief, anxiety, surges through you as you navigate your bustling city life, perhaps give it some space. Let it breathe within you before you feel compelled to give it an immediate external voice. Observe it with curiosity, like a scientist observing a fascinating natural phenomenon. These feelings are, after all, an integral part of your personal journey through the vast, ever-changing landscape of life. And not every part of the journey needs an immediate audience or a running commentary. Some of its most profound terrains are best traveled solo or shared only when your heart, guided by reason and wisdom, truly wishes to connect on a deeper, more intentional level. This conscious, stoic approach to emotional privacy isn't about being cold, it's about cultivating a rich, discerning, and resilient inner life. Live wisely, not loudly. Your stoic path to inner peace in the city. So, there you have it, 10 areas where practicing a little stoic discretion, a little strategic silence, can profoundly transform how you navigate our noisy, hyper-connected modern world. Especially for those of us living and working in the relentless energy of major American cities. From keeping your silent struggles private to building true resilience to guarding your future plans and nascent dreams, each of these secrets isn't about being evasive or inauthentic. Instead, they are about cultivating a powerful inner sanctum, a place of quiet strength, deliberate thought, and genuine self-possession. Think of it. By not immediately broadcasting your self-doubts, you give yourself space to overcome them internally. By not seeking applause for every minor challenge you overcome, your motivation becomes pure and self-directed. By protecting your vulnerabilities, you shield yourself from unnecessary harm and give yourself the privacy to heal and grow. By processing grievances internally, you maintain your peace. By internalizing your successes, you build unshakable self-reliance. And by allowing your emotions and personal progress to unfold with a degree of privacy, you foster a deeper, more authentic relationship with yourself, free from the distorting pressures of constant external validation. This Stoic path encourages us to live more wisely, not necessarily more loudly. It's a call to find strength in what's not said, power in what's not shown, and peace in a world that constantly demands our attention and our data. It's about understanding that your inner life is precious and you are its primary guardian. By choosing discernment over indiscriminate disclosure, you reclaim your focus, protect your energy, and build a fortress of inner calm that can withstand the inevitable chaos of urban life. This isn't about hiding from the world, but about engaging with it on your own terms from a place of centered strength. What we've explored today are timeless principles as relevant in ancient Rome as they are in modern-day New York, Los Angeles, or Chicago. The challenges may look different, but the human need for inner peace, resilience, and wisdom remains constant. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey into Stoic discretion here on Stoic VIVU. Your support is truly the cornerstone that allows us to keep bringing this kind of enlightening, practical philosophical content to every corner of the world, helping more people discover these ancient tools for modern thriving. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Is there one of these secrets that particularly resonates with you? Or is there another topic, another piece of Stoic wisdom you'd like to see us explore further on the channel? Please don't hesitate to drop your ideas and reflections in the comments section below. Your engagement and suggestions are what fuel our mission to deliver even more profound insights directly to you. And of course, if you found real value in today's content, if it sparked an idea or offered you a new perspective, please do give this video a like. It really helps the channel grow and reach more people who could benefit from this wisdom. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss out on our upcoming videos. Let's keep this flame of practical knowledge burning bright together.